What's up, everybody? It's Friday, August 4th, 2017, and it's the 2,888th day that the U has not beaten FSU in football. I'll be doing this all the way up to September 16th at the least. At worst, that's a long process, but won't brag too much. It's college football. You never know what's going to happen, so uh, we'll see what happens. We'll go from there. A lot of news today, at least a lot of stuff I want to rant about, just about some of the topics, but not going into long things. Like I said, I don't like to give necessarily personal opinions. Just so my videos are for entertainment purposes only, not to debate. I do the debating before I get on here, so by the time I'm finished with all the debating, when I get on here, I've heard different points of view, and then I just make my own synopsis after that. Nevertheless, here we go. Boxing news first, believe it or not. Just wanted to announce a couple of retirements. Uh, One of my probably for sure will probably happen, and then also one unretirement. First of all, the retirement, Vladimir Klitschko, of the Klitschko brothers. The other one is, well, I want to say Batali. Vladimir Batali. Anyway, Vladimir, the one who's been more successful. I think he fought almost 21 years without losing his heavyweight title. Well, almost 21 years without losing the heavyweight title. His last two fights he actually lost. Nevertheless, he retired. He retired yesterday. This coming off of the loss to Anthony Joshua. Before then, he lost to Tyson Fury. Now, what was interesting is he had actually had a 17-month layoff between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, and that could make a difference. You're fighting some young guys, and you're older. He was, I think he's 41. I think he's 41, and that's old for boxing years. And one thing about Klitschko, he didn't just go in there just dodging. Well, it's hard to do that as a heavyweight. Most of the time, you're mixing up. You're up close. If you're lucky, you have more of the power and you can knock him out. But when you're trading blows, especially what he did against Anthony Joshua, you saw that fight. Very physical fight, a lot of hitting in there, and that can take your toll on. And so he decided to fight, and he lost to Anthony Joshua. And like I said, before that, he lost to Tyson Fury. So he had lost two fights after that. Tyson Fury, people wanted to question it and say, hey, Tyson Fury, I think, they got him for, he failed a drug test, but all these boxers probably take some sort of drug. And boxing doesn't take it away from your record. If somebody's getting caught for using drugs, why doesn't that affect your record? Why shouldn't you get that win? Or no decision at least. So that's something boxing need to look at. I always thought that was unfair. If somebody get caught using drugs and they beat you, should you still have a loss? Anyway, I wasn't totally impressed with Klitschko's list of people that he's beaten, but at the same time, he fought who would fight him. And when you're talking about basically after Mike Tyson, and maybe even after Holyfield a little bit in there, and even a little bit of Lennox Lewis. I won't say Lennox Lewis was all of that Lennox Lewis. I think I still felt everybody dodged Tyson until Tyson's mind was gone, especially after he got out of prison. If you fought him after he got out of prison, you didn't beat the real Tyson. So that's why I give Buster Douglas credit for beating him, even though Tyson admitted he wasn't prepared. But hey, you don't come in prepared, you can get your butt whipped. But Buster Douglas fought him before he went to prison, so he got the Tyson that everybody thought was invincible. Once after that time out of prison, Tyson was nowhere there. Cus D'Amato had passed away. It was just nothing after that. People who were losing to Tyson after that were just trying to get a check, and they were just losing due to fear of Mike Tyson. But I still think a lot of them dodged him. I think Lennox Lewis dodged him. I think Evander Holyfield dodged him. And these are just my thoughts. I know people won't agree, and it's not up for debate. But I think those two guys dodged him. Klitschko was young at that time, so it doesn't matter in that case. Doesn't factor in that case. Anyway, he beat the likes of Chris Bird, Ray Mercer, who was 41 at the time, Tony Thompson, Lamont Brewster, and those weren't really big names, but that's what boxing had as the heavyweight. So it is what it is. So I can't hate on him for that. Got to give him credit for beating what was there, and that's what he did. So he's going to go down as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, at least in the sense of longevity as a title holder. But who he really beat, and that could hurt him. Sometimes the strength of schedule can hurt you, and that's what it is in this case. Anyway, congratulations on your retirement, Mr. Klitschko, and hopefully you'll stay retired. Thing about boxers, they don't know when to quit. And if you feel like this is the right thing to do, Lennox Lewis, I think, was smart. Once he decided to retire, he retired. So if you think that is the right thing to do, then I'm all for it. Another boxer that retired was Juan Manuel Marquez. He is, I think, a welterweight. Won 4 titles as a welterweight. Marquez is 44 years old, and if you've watched any Juan Manuel Marquez fights, this guy doesn't do anything but go in and fight. And he's a Mexican fighter. They're warriors. They're going to go in there and they're going to fight basically to the death. And he is famous for putting Manny Pacquiao to sleep. I saw that fight, and that was a great fight to see. He also would fight anyone. He fought Mayweather. He fought them all. And so that's the one thing I always liked about Juan Manuel Marquez. He fought anyone. Fought 64 fights. I think he only lost 7 of them. I think he was 56-7-1. Um, so he fought anybody, and he fought anytime, any day. He fought Pacquiao 4 times. Can you imagine that? Trying to fight the power of Manny Pacquiao 4 times. They did it over an 8-year span. Much to him. Hopefully, he does not come out of retirement. Wouldn't be surprised if he tried to do one more, but he is, I think, one of the great welterweights, or at least boxers from his class. I want to say welterweight, but maybe he's a little bit heavier. I'm not sure. I don't think it's a welterweight. It's the same class as Pacquiao and Mayweather, but he was classic. So shouts out to Juan Manuel Marquez. Speaking of Manny Pacquiao is basically unretired, just like that. After he said he was done, but we all knew better. First of all, he felt like he got robbed against Horn in Australia, so he says he wants to fight him again in November in Australia. So Pacquiao says either I'm just going to beat him down, or I'm going to get robbed again in the same country a second time. I think Pacquiao underestimated him a little bit. And as I said before when I gave the analysis of the fight, I think Horn made it a messy fight. He got some headbutts, and that was something Pacquiao wasn't used to, getting headbutts. When you came in on Pacquiao, you got stung, or he'll get stung, but never the headbutt stuff. And a lot of times, certain fighters, the headbutts can throw them out of their rhythm. It can make them a little nervous. It can make them a little gun-shy by coming in because they like coming in. Same thing with Mike Tyson. When he fought Vander Holyfield. Holyfield did a lot of headbutts, and that frustrated Tyson, and that made Tyson leery of jumping in, trying to fight, trying to go in and head first with Holyfield. So I find it a little dirty, unless it's just accidental. Accidental means maybe it happens once or twice a fight in the fight. But Horn, it seemed like he made it his business to get in there and make it messy. And you saw it in that fight. Horn looked like he had been mauled by a tiger, yet he still got the win, which I certainly didn't think he got. So Pacquiao will probably get his chance to get a rematch. I think Horn will give it to him for the money. And Horn won't care about winning this fight. I don't think he'll care about winning this fight as much because he already got the win, and then he's going to get paid twice. As long as he's not getting knocked out, which it could be prone to. He's probably not going to care. But it was pretty interesting. But the good thing is for Manny Pacquiao, he'll get a chance to redeem himself. And Manny Pacquiao seems to like these rematch fights, so he'll get what he asked for. One last note from yesterday. There's been rumors of Colin Kaepernick going to the Dolphins because of the injury to Ryan Tannehill. First of all, Tannehill, they're not sure if it's going to be season-ending surgery, but that is an option. I think it's on his knee, and a knee that he hurt last year, but that doesn't seem like he fully recovered from, or he tore an ACL or something, or tore MCL or something in there from last year. And so it may not have been fully healed. I think they actually said he did stem cell research, did stem cell repair instead of the full surgery, and that's why he was able to come back as soon as he was. But when you don't do surgery, you're not necessarily fully healed. And he felt like he was. I mean, he hurt himself without even being touched, non-contact hurt. And so that's a bad thing when it's non-contact. Um, Nevertheless, the Dolphins have expressed that they are satisfied with Matt Moore, who is a backup quarterback, as being the starter. There has been rumors circulating that they are looking at Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler was recently retired. Jay Cutler also said that he would not come back unless he would be a starter uh, and get paid starter money. I don't know how you do that when you have Ryan Tannehill, who's making the money already, making starter money already. So unless the Dolphins really think they can do something with the squad, I don't know how they make that move. Also, what is starter money and how do you pay this guy that? Also, you're talking about a guy who hasn't touched a football since January. And now you're going to tell me that he's in football shape and he wants to get paid as a starter. And I'm just not sold on what it is that people see in Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler, you know what? It's the Dolphins. I'll let them do whatever they're going to do and be fine with that. I just don't think Jay Cutler is the answer for any team. So um, I think he's a little bit of a cancer in the team where if the team is not, he can cause friction with at least the offensive players. But hey, Dolphins, you guys figure it out. I do not think Colin Kaepernick is a choice for this. I do not care if the Dolphins pick up Colin Kaepernick. A couple of reasons why is, first of all, the Dolphins have expressed they like Matt Moore. They probably could express that by saying, "Hey, don't even talk to us about Colin Kaepernick. We like what we have." And I think any team that is not trying to get Colin Kaepernick, they're going to say that. Number two, Andrew Gaze is very familiar with Jay Cutler. He's played with Jay Cutler before, and Jay Cutler had one of his best seasons under Andrew Gaze as the offensive coordinator. So it seems like a better fit. So when I look at those two things right there, then I'm saying Colin Kaepernick is really not needed in this situation. Another thing that has surfaced on why Colin Kaepernick would not be welcomed in Miami is because he had on a Malcolm X T-shirt with Fidel Castro saying "Great minds think alike." And of course, the understanding in Miami is a very high Cuban population or Latin population, period, but a high Cuban population that is not very fond of Fidel Castro. So by wearing that T-shirt, the Miami Dolphins and the owner could probably expect some backlash concerning that, and so that's why he probably wouldn't be an option. So before we tell the owner he should do this, we already know why he would reject it because he's thinking about that. However, the owner is in a bit of a pickle now. He can just say he can say the GM and the coach says we're fine with Matt Moore, or we think Jay Cutler would be a better fit. And hey, I'm not going to argue. It seems like it to me, so I'm not going to argue. So I don't think Colin Kaepernick necessarily needs to be there. But the owner put his foot in his mouth, or he put himself on the hook because he said it wouldn't matter to him. He would get Colin Kaepernick no matter. He understands there would be backlash. If there was an opportunity where he had to get him and he needed him, he would get him. Those were the owner's words. I might be paraphrasing a little bit, but the fact that he said it wouldn't matter about the backlash, if there was an opportunity that he needed to get him, he'd get him. And here's the odd thing. The owners who were saying, hey, it's not a big deal, I'd get him if I get him, all of a sudden they get in a situation where they need him. So that's what the funny thing is. And so if they don't sign Jay Cutler because Jay Cutler maybe asked for too much money, then you're just going to have me believe that you like Matt Moore. Or the owner's going to put his foot in his mouth and have to eat them words. Nevertheless, I'm not going to go crazy about this particular situation because Colin Kaepernick necessarily doesn't fit the situation. Uh, I did think he was a fit in Baltimore. I did think he could be a better backup than what we have in San Diego. Um, he left San Francisco because he obviously had problems in San Francisco because he opted out of a $14 million contract just to be free from them and put himself on the market. Now, he could be doing that because maybe he could think he'd get more in the market, or maybe he was trying to prove a point. Maybe he was trying to prove that he could get blackballed because of what he thought. Because the 49ers would have had to eat that $14 million, whether they kept him or not. And he did the 49ers a favor. So, I had somebody argue that point earlier to myself. Well, he gypped himself. He, opted out of the deal, gypped himself, using NFL money for his causes. No. He opted out of a $14 million contract to prove a point that he doesn't need the NFL money. And maybe he was trying to prove a point. If somebody really wants him, then they'll come get him. That's it. They'll come for him. So, but everybody has their superstitions about what happened, or their hypothesis about what happened. That's mine. Doesn't matter to me. It's not up for debate. Doesn't matter. They sign them, they sign them, they don't, they don't. While I'm at it, just want to go ahead and let you guys know, since we've been talking football already. First of all, I just wanted to say that I'm boycotting NFL football. I'm not watching any live football, any live NFL football, the entire season or until someone signs Colin Kaepernick. It's my choice. It's not up for debate. Some people say, oh, well, NFL ain't going to miss you. Probably right. Some people have even said, hey, your Chargers aren't any good anyway. They're not going to be good anyway. Doesn't matter. Not the point I'm trying to make. That's what's being missed, even in my situation, as well in Colin Kaepernick's situation. Nobody's focused on what the point is, what the protest is. Colin Kaepernick's protest is because of how nobody seems to care about cops killing innocent blacks. And all these people that have been arguing about Colin Kaepernick shouldn't have protested, none of them have addressed the problem that Colin Kaepernick had a problem with. Everybody's trying to tell him how he should protest, but nobody has said anything about the protest itself. And someone mentioned today as well, why aren't there any Caucasians having a problem with what Colin Kaepernick protested? Nobody has a problem with, nobody agrees with Colin Kaepernick that's Caucasian? I found that pretty surprising. Now, some people say, I understand why he said it. He has a right to say it. But nobody really out in the open saying they don't agree with it. Go figure, right? But anyway, I'm not watching any NFL football preseason, postseason, regular season until Colin Kaepernick is signed, or I won't watch any this year. I play fantasy football. So some people say, you're still going to play fantasy football? I don't have to watch football to play fantasy football. Plus, I run the leagues. And I don't think it's fair that I not play the leagues, that I've recruited people, and that people have wanted to play in the leagues with me and not play them. That's not fair. So I'm going to play out of my loyalty to my participants that want to play in the league with me. Plus, I want to see how well I can play without actually watching the game. Some people say, well, you're still watching the NFL if you get updates from ESPN. No, I'm not. I get updates from ESPN for sports I don't even watch. I can get an update about football. That's it. Simple as that. So I'm not going to sit here and let somebody try to tell me now what is a protest and what isn't. If you're not protesting, you don't worry about it. But that's the situation there. I watch some highlight shows. I watch ESPN anyway. I watch highlight shows. Those types of things. But football in itself, that's not it. Watching the NFL or going to a game or anything like that is supporting the NFL. I'm watching ESPN. I can't control what comes on ESPN. What am I going to do? Turn the channel? Like I said, nobody's going to dictate to me how I should protest, just like I don't think anybody should dictate how Colin Kaepernick should protest. But my point is clear. I'm not watching any NFL. They say they don't need me, so I won't watch it. You don't need Colin Kaepernick? Okay, fine. But I tell you one thing. If African Americans really had a problem with what Colin Kaepernick is doing, then you protest. And protest not going to games, not buying the merchandise, not watching it on television. But hey, I'm not telling you what to do. But I'm saying if you're trying to protest, that's where you got to start. And we know it's tough. But hey, if it's something you really didn't want to do, that's what you do. But hey, no biggie. Like I said, I'm not sitting here trying to make everybody my crusade, everybody else's crusade. But just want to let you know. So if If I sound like I'm talking like I'm kind of out of the loop on what's going on with football, that'll be the reason why uh, I'm not watching. So that's how that goes. So I'll rely on 10 years of experience of playing fantasy football to help me do my drafts and manage my teams. And to tell you the truth, if you're any good at fantasy football, it's doable. Doc Rivers in basketball news, NBA news. Doc Rivers is no longer president of basketball operations for the Clippers. He had to make a decision. You're going to coach or be president of basketball operations. He decided to coach. It's a tough job to do both. Um, and I think Doc realized that, and that was that. So now he's got to coach his team. He's got to put the pieces back together. You've lost Chris Paul. You're probably going to lose somebody else down the line. You got to put the pieces back together. Well, you kind of got a different look team. You don't have your court general in there, so now you got to put the pieces back together. So I think that's good for him. I think Lawrence Frank will be pretty much playing the president of basketball operations, and they already have a good relationship, so that makes the process easier. So uh, Doc Rivers can now just focus on coaching the team, and since him and Lawrence Frank have a great relationship, they're going to be looking at the same players anyway. It's just that now Doc Rivers don't have to worry about that from day to day. Now he can just coach the team. So we'll see how it works out with the Clippers. He'll probably have the Sun as a starting point guard now that Chris Paul is gone. So we'll see what happens. Speaking of more basketball news, Stephen Curry shot 2 rounds of 74 in a Web.com golf tournament, which is one level below the actual PGA Tour. That was very good and respectable, even though he didn't make the cut. I think he was still a good 6 to 8 shots off the cut, but it was very respectable because nobody thought he would even crack 80 in either round. So when they think you were supposed to be 6 shots worse each round, meaning that you actually were 12 shots better than what they said you were going to be. So hats off to him, and considering he didn't get as much practice because he just got done playing basketball in June, and a month and a half later, he's playing a golf tournament with people who spend their whole lives preparing for it. So I think that was pretty impressive, and it's rare news coming from me considering I'm not a big Steph Curry fan or a Golden State fan. Nah, I'm still not a Steph Curry fan. Who am I kidding? But I give credit where credit's due, and I think that's pretty commendable. So I think he probably has life after basketball. I'm sorry, life after basketball, kind of nailed down already. Tennis news: Stan Wawrinka is done for the year. I think he's citing a knee injury. Uh, what's interesting here is Stan Wawrinka was the defending U.S. Open champ, and the U.S. Open tournament starts in about 3 weeks, and he won't be able to defend that title. Also, what is interesting is that there will be no Novak Djokovic. He's done for the year. And when you're talking about the top four, Rafael Nadal, hard courts ain't his thing. That U.S. Open hard court is not his thing. So the fact that you got Wawrinka and Novak out, and then Rafa hard court is not his thing. The only challenge to Roger Federer is Andy Murray, and I think he pretty much has Andy's number for the most part. And Roger is just won the last uh, slam, which was Wimbledon, and he also has 6 month rest. He's got a lot of energy left. So if I got to have a guy who's going to win this, it's going to be Roger Federer. At least my pick to win it would be Roger Federer. On the women's circuit, we know there won't be any Serena. Sharapova actually got hurt, so she might not even be able to play in the tournament. She got hurt playing another tournament. So you got injuries all around in the tennis world this year. So it could be anybody's tournament for the U.S. Open. For the women's side, I still got Roger Federer as the favorite. On the men's side, EA Sports is adding WNBA players or characters in their NBA Live 2018 video game. So all you guys who just like to see the ladies play, if you can get Brittany Griner to dunk or a nice pass by Diana Taurasi or Maya Moore going off, now you have a chance. I might even get it so I can play my San Antonio Stars. They are terrible. I think they got like 3 or 4 wins in the league, and I think they played like 22 games. But I'll make them a winner. in WNBA, in live 18. So I think that was pretty cool by EA Sports to do that, and it gives them a little bit of exposure. So I think that'll help. I think that'll help out a little bit, and I think it's a little bit of a respect to the ladies that have been there, and that's one step. That's one step closer to that. So I kind of like that. That was a great idea by EA Sports. Kudos to you for that. Uh, Other basketball news: the charges were dropped against Charles Oakley for basically roughing up all the Madison Square Garden security. Uh, Oak Dog, in exchange for the charges being dropped, he will basically be on probation or has to stay out of trouble for 6 months. That's called probation, and he has to stay away from the Madison Square Garden for 1 year. Um, it's kind of redemption for him because of the fact that hey, he didn't really do nothing wrong. They probably provoked him, and you know, Oak's a big boy. You can't be messing around with a person. You're gonna get yourself jacked up. But if you're on probation and you got to stay away from the garden for 1 year, they're still blaming you for something. But the fact that he didn't go to jail and have to pay any fines, it's kind of a little bit of a redemption. So I'll give you that, Charles. Um, so looks like all well and well. And with that happening, him not getting in trouble, he has the ability to. The Knicks may have the ability to rebuild that relationship with him, but it'll start between him and James Oakley and James Dolan. But they'll have the chance for them to rebuild that, and hopefully that works out well for them. Uh, Two last things concerning baseball. Yu Darvish pitched 7 shutout innings for the Dodgers tonight against the Mets. They beat the Mets 6-0. Um, I found that was interesting because of the fact that his last 5 outings against the Rangers, he looked like crap, and all of a sudden you change to a winning team, and you're pitching like you're Hideo Nomo. So, um, but he also got some run support. I don't know how much run support he did or did not get in Texas. I didn't do the numbers on that. But maybe he was ready for a change in Texas. He said he liked being in Texas. It did have a good Asian population, but that was in Houston, and they were in Arlington. So I don't know, but maybe change. I mean, sometimes change scenery is good, and Los Angeles has a very big and good Asian population. So he probably feels just as at home as he did in Texas. And I know the Dodgers like seeing that. If you can get 7 strong shutout innings for Yu Darvish, not necessarily shutout every outing, but hold them 1 or 2 runs, hold the opponents for 1 or 2 runs. You're going to take that. That's Clayton. Right tonight was Clayton Kershaw. So you know it's big right there. So Yu Darvish off on a good foot early for the Dodgers. I don't like the Dodgers being an Angels fan, but like I said, I could be unbiased and give the news sometimes without any bias. One last note I thought was interesting. Pete Rose was accused of having sex with a minor, and this happened over 40 years ago while he was married. All I got to say is you're not going to vote him in the Hall of Fame anyway. I don't know if Manfred was thinking about putting him in the Hall of Fame, and so somebody had to dredge this up. But if that's what Manfred was trying to do, then okay, I understand why he did it. If that wasn't Manfred trying to do it, I guess Pete Rose, you got a lot of enemies because somebody decided, hey, we're going to pull this up from over 40 years ago. And hopefully that's enough to where Manfred said, I'm not even considering you for the Hall of Fame. But also continue to throw salt in the wound on why you're not in the Hall of Fame. Again, Hall of Fame is supposed to be about what you did on the field, what you did playing baseball. Any Hall of Fame. When you throw morals in there and you got guys already in there, if you're not taking them out, then don't refuse to put anybody in that you're not taking out if you're talking about morals. NFL haven't even taken OJ out of the Hall of Fame. Well, he was proven innocent of killing 2 people. But the bottom line is, my point is, if you're going to try to be the moral majority, be it universal. Don't just try to pinpoint him for now. You've let whatever you want to let in the past, and you're going to let this guy in. You're not going to let this guy in. I tell you, humans, we're so selective, throwing rocks out of glass houses, blah, blah, blah. The moral majority we do. I mean, it's like the government. Government does more dirt and wrong than anybody, but they'll sit there and punish you to death for what you do. They'll broadcast your business everywhere. You got senators that cheat on wives, date hookers, mess with boys, men messing with boys, stealing money, all that kind of stuff. But they get all kinds of slaps on the wrist or what have you. But you do it, they're gonna throw you in jail. Go figure. Anyway, this is a long-winded video. It's a lot of stuff going on, but like I said, it was a lot of stuff going on. Yesterday wasn't much. Most of the stuff came from the day, so can't do nothing about that. To be alone, you'll have to have the stomach to deal with it. Um, I got one last thing. I just thought it was interesting. Terrell Davis, who will be going into Hall of Fame tomorrow, Hall of Fame running back for the Denver Broncos, won 2 Super Bowls. He is going into Hall of Fame tomorrow with LaDainian Tomlinson, Jerry Jones, and 3 others. I don't want to say Kenny Easley. I can't remember them all, but it's 6 of them. Anyway, he says he's scared of the possible side effects of CTE from playing football. I thought that was interesting because he said he would still let his kids play football if they wanted to play football. Because he says they're teaching tackling better, they're resting more, and they're practicing less. CTE has already been kicked in your head, Terrell Davis. What the heck any of those 3 things got to do that's going to prevent your kid from getting hit in the head? Unless he's playing the position of kicker or punter, he can still get hit in the head. I don't care how much practice he has. I don't care how much rest he gets. I don't care what kind of tackling drills they give him. He can still get a concussion or a head injury just from playing one down. Are you serious, dude? If he's trying to be a running back like his dad, you can't prevent CTE. You can't prevent, not necessarily prevent CTE, but you can't prevent possible head injuries. He's a running back. He's going to use his head to protect him when he's running through holes. If he's an offensive lineman or defensive lineman, they're cracking heads every time. Receivers or tight ends, they're going to get hit. They're going to land on their head sometimes. Linebacker, you're going to come up there and hit. And sometimes you will clash heads. Safeties come up and clash heads. Corner, well, they're kind of diva-esque, so they might not get hit in the head much. QB, you might not even be paying attention. Somebody's going to bust you in your head. So what I'm saying again is, don't sit here and say like the NFL has gotten better about head injury problems. They haven't. People still getting concussions left and right. What is the trick behind it? You got to stop playing when you've gotten too many. You've got to take the time off when you've gotten one. If you get a concussion on Sunday, next Sunday you shouldn't be playing. The normal standard rest time for a concussion is 1 to 2 weeks. And if you come back that next week, you aren't ready. You're letting the team convince you to come back because they're going to tell you they need you. So the dollars you pay me to you is more important than my health 10 years from now or 20 years from now. And I guess that's why I was never a football player and never was good, never was great at it. Because of the fact that there's no way you're going to tell me to go on the field talking about you're doing it for your team, you're doing it for your teammates. Y'all can't do nothing for me 20 years from now when I can't remember who you are. When I can't remember what I did yesterday. I can't remember what I'm supposed to do next. And you're going to sit here and hand me that BS about, the NFL's gotten better about tackling. Come on, man. The same tackling skills they was teaching you 30 years ago, they teaching the same thing now. And if people followed those same rules, they would. But people try to hit what? Defenders come up and try to hit with shoulders. They want to bust somebody up. They want that bone-jarring hit. And whatever it takes to make that happen, shoulder, helmet, whatever, that's what they're going to do. They launch into players. Yes, there are penalties that say, hey, you can't launch into them, but it doesn't stop them from trying to do it. But the bottom line is, dude, no, NFL ain't got any safer. You can't get safer when you're hitting people with hard-ass helmets. Steel helmets. It's not safer when you're hitting people with helmets. It's not human. It's not what you're supposed to be doing with your head. Did you watch the movie Concussion? Did you even watch it? What's happening to your brain ain't supposed to be happening. You're playing football. You're doing something that you ain't supposed to be doing. It's not safe. That's why I never liked the Broncos, because y'all don't even think right. Anyway, man. I hope everybody ain't listening to Terrell Davis. Please don't. And I hope you don't let your kids play. At the end of the day, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to hate on football. I'm not trying to hate on the NFL. But at the end of the day, let's be honest about the possible injuries and the ramifications of playing football. Just like everybody wants to say, Colin Kaepernick should understand the consequences of him protesting and what could happen. And the problem is, people don't understand that he shouldn't have those consequences. You protest what is not right, what is wrong. If you protest what is wrong, I don't know why that should prevent you from playing. But anyway, you playing football, you know what can happen to you. It's like a boxer being mad. Oh my God, I can't think anymore. I didn't know boxing would do that to me. What? You're hitting each other in the head for 36 minutes if you fight 12 rounds. You're doing it for 36 minutes a fight. And most boxers fight 2 or 3 times a year. For real? You're hitting the head? You don't think that's not supposed to happen when you got no helmet on your head? Nothing to protect your head and your brain? Really? Really? People don't think anymore. Some people are dumb. And Terrell Davis, I can't buy that. I can't buy it. Tell your kids the truth. And, you just be responsible for whatever the result is. But these are kids. Let them decide they want to play. Don't tell them kids they have to play. Don't say they got to play because you played. Just try to get them in a NFL front office. You and 10 other football players get your money together and become owners. If you're going to stay in the football business, become owners. That's what we need. That brotherhood of owners is the reason why Colin Kaepernick can't get in the NFL. If there was one black owner, Colin Kaepernick would be on the team right now. Get your mind right, Terrell Davis. Get your mind right, world. All right, I've been ranting enough, almost 40 minutes. Anyway, this is going to be a long one. Thanks for your time. If you listen to it all the way through, if more stuff goes down, like I said, football is underway. Baseball is underway. I mean, second half of baseball is well underway. Um, so, anything newsworthy, I bring it to you. Take care of yourselves. God bless everyone. And free Colin Kaepernick. Peace.